Goeienaand. Good evening, fellow South Africans from a wet but quite warm Brisbane. Okay, a total change of subject from yesterday's video clip. What I want to talk about today is what a mess the tax system in South Africa is. And in a moment I'll play a video clip which I'll explain more fully in a second. But first of all, there's been an interesting report about where South Africa is going. And a report by the National Planning Commission, or NPC, paints a bleak picture of South Africa's future with declining investments and low tax revenue leading to lower investments. Now, note that lower tax revenue, and we're going to touch on that subject more fully in a second. This is according to a report in the City Press, which said that the NPC report warns there is a clear and present danger of South Africa veering into a downward spiral. The National Planning Commission was established in May 2010 to develop a long-term vision and strategic plans for South Africa. According to the NPC report, the ANC government's land expropriation without compensation plan is a hindrance to investment. Now, that's a no-brainer, let's face it. The approach to land distribution needs to be resolved. Lack of clarity in respect of government stance on property ownership is hindering investments across the board, the report stated. The report titled The Crossroads Accelerating Progress Towards NPC's Vision in 2030 includes the following proposals. A big increase in the expanded public works program, a formal target for attracting Chinese and Indian tourists. Here come the Chinese, guys, here come the Chinese. Tapping into the Unemployment Insurance Fund to fund employment support programs. There goes the support for the unemployed, and reforming the public services remuneration system to allow the hiring of more low-level civil servants and possibly introduce performance-based remuneration. Okay. I could go on with all this stuff, but it's all bad news. And what I really want to focus on in the video that's attached here is the impact that affirmative action in South Africa is having on that country. And in this case study, which is a video attached, we have a woman who's been in the job of Chief Officer of IT in SARS. Now, SARS are the government body that collect tax. And this woman, as you'll very quickly see, doesn't know diddly squat about IT. She's asked the most basic questions and she doesn't know how to answer them. She is in charge of the IT department at the tax office. Yes, she's a black woman and she's there because of affirmative action. You would think that when it comes to the tax office, you would put in someone who had the skills and qualifications to do the job. But no, she's probably very well connected to someone in the government, and this is just like, a high-paying job, and it doesn't matter whether she knows anything about the job or not. And as I said, the video speaks for itself. Now, please remember to subscribe to be kept informed, and for the record, this video, which is attached, which is an interview, is very recent. It came out in the last couple of days. All right, guys? So the big message here is that the tax office is in chaos, thanks mainly to this woman who's in charge of the IT side. Okay, have a great day.
Welcome back and thanks for tuning in to Morning Live. Now, it could cost up to 1 billion rand to fix the South African Revenue Service's IT infrastructure. And this follows the halt to the SARS modernization program that ended abruptly in 2014. And this, of course, after suspended Commissioner Tom Moyane took over at the Revenue Service. So to clarify this matter and also to give you and I a better understanding of what all of this actually means, I'm joined from our Pretoria studios now by SARS Chief Officer for Digital and IT, Mmamathe Makhekhe-Mokhuane. Thanks so much for speaking to us this morning.
Thank you, ma'am, and good morning.
So if we could perhaps just start by explaining to lay people like ourselves what exactly this modernization program entails and why it was halted.
I joined SARS about a year ago, and of course, my understanding of modernization is to automate processes, including how people do things. So I'm not in a position to answer how it was and why it was halted.
So when it was halted, was there any explanation given? As someone who heads up, the IT division, works in that division, were you given any reasons as to why there was a need to halt the process of modernization?
Ma'am, let me just repeat. I said I joined SARS in 2017. Modernization started in 2007. And I joined SARS in 2017. And from time to time, organizations take time to look how they're operating. Do you insource? Do you outsource? Do you centralize or decentralize? I'm not in a position to give that answer.
So what we understand now through reports is that this particular halting to that process could cost the taxpayer around 1 billion rand to fix the e-filing system. Is that correct?
That is not correct.
So what is the correct characterization of what the problem is now?
E-filing is working. It's fully operational. We want to encourage our taxpayers to do e-filing conveniently and wherever they are. The problem is that we have not had necessary budgets to upgrade our systems.
And why is that?
So we are almost on the verge. Why is what?
Why is it that you haven't had the necessary budgetary input to actually continue with the process that you had embarked on?
I'm not in a position to answer that question, ma'am. We have put enough submissions to the Treasury to say that our infrastructure is aging. We have sufficient evidence from a number of our providers, be it switches, our mainframe, and so on and so forth, to say some parts of our infrastructure are going to go out of maintenance and support.
So what has been the response to that submission that you have made?
I think the commissioner would be able to answer that much better. As far as I'm concerned, we have not had that budget. So at the moment, what we're doing is to make sure that whatever is dying tomorrow, we put make sure that there's a backup for it.
Andre Rabi, and he's of course the executive of IT systems at SARS IT strategy, and he told the SARS Commission of Inquiry that the system was functioning at around 20%, and this was cause for concern. So do you concur with that? Is that the situation? And what should we as taxpayers be concerned about in that regard?
I'm not going to comment on what people say, but I'm going to confirm that e-filing is reliable. Would want all taxpayers to go online and use e-filing as opposed to going to our branches. As far as we know at this point in time, especially me as the Chief Officer of the Digital Information Systems, we are still reliable. Yes, we have a deadlock, but for now, please use e-filing and make sure that you e-file before the end of October. But we are even open on Saturdays.
Your executive for IT strategy is saying that that particular system, the e-filing system, is not at optimal functionality. He says it's functioning at 20%. So the question I guess I'm putting to you more pointedly is this: is e-filing on the verge of collapse or not?
Definitely not. Let me explain. Currently, e-filing and the forms are using Adobe, okay? Now, Adobe is getting out of support in 2020. We are trying to move all our, what you'd see on your paper forms, we want to put it on a digital platform and using HTML5 as an example. So nothing is going to go down except the fact that, of course, as a taxpayer, when you want to use our systems, you see a warning that says, are you sure? And that scares taxpayers. And I want to say here and now that we are quite confident that e-filing is reliable. We are going to change from Adobe to HTML5, and it shall be business as usual. And we are also going to enhance it to make it user-friendly, to make it convenient, so that you can file wherever you are, be it night or day.
So, Ms. Makhekhe-Mokhuane, are you therefore saying that Andre Rabi was lying to the Commission when he said it was functioning at 20% functionality?
Ma'am, I cannot respond to that question.
So what level of functionality is that system operating at the moment?
We have achieved 99.6% uptime.
But what does that mean? He says it's functioning.
It's all.
No, continue.
Excuse me?
Continue.
Yes, I'm saying we have achieved 99.6% uptime so far, and for quite a number of time. And that much is going to be there. What we are talking about in terms of changing some of the functionality of e-filing does not mean that e-filing is going to go down any minute soon. That's not going to happen.
All right, so that questions then the submission that Mr. Rabi made to the Commission. But further to this, we understand from some of the reports and what people are saying that the company at the center of this in some way, Gartner, they still possess the blueprint to rectify the problem. So are those blueprints not with SARS as we speak?
Can you say that again?
I'm saying Gartner, we understand, is the company that holds the blueprint that you would need to rectify the problem that currently exists. Is that correct? And if so, why are those blueprints not with SARS?
I would like to repeat that I joined SARS in 2017.
But this is a current problem.
And the work that Gartner did... No, I'm listening to you and I'm hearing you. All I'm saying is that Gartner did a diagnostic of what could be a problem and made recommendation. I am sure, ma'am, if you get into an organization as big as SARS, you'd also can't then turn the Titanic around. You can't. You want to take a step back, understand what the issues are, get advice, and so on and so forth.
So I'm reading a story in the Business Day this morning, and Judge Nugent's report, also says that the Bain restructuring has displaced about 200 managerial employees from their jobs. Is that correct?
I can't answer that, but I think it makes sense.
But why can't you answer it? Because this is as a result of the implementation of a certain IT system. And has it had the effect of actually displacing some workers within the system?
Let me give you a scenario. Organizations evolve from time to time. And they consider, amongst others, insourcing, outsourcing, centralization versus decentralization, and so on and so forth. And I can go on about the fact that outsourcing so far has been about cleaning services and security people, which are black people. I would want to insource those people at the moment because their children would benefit from a SARS bursary system.
But talking about the IT restructuring.
Ma'am, can you give me protection from yourself?
But we're talking IT restructuring.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Let me just ask you a final question
I'm listening to you.
A final question is, what is your assessment right now as you and I are speaking about the state of SARS's IT infrastructure?
Okay. The SARS IT infrastructure has aged. Most of it is about to be end of life and out of support.
All right.
So
we'll leave it there.
What we are saying is to request that we get the necessary support in terms of resources, financially, human resources, and so on and so forth.
All right. We thank you so much for your time. And that, of course, a representative from SARS, Mmamathe Makhekhe-Mokhuane. And she was talking to us about some of the issues that have been highlighted through the SARS inquiry. Also talk about the e-filing system that is allegedly on the brink of collapse. And SARS clarifying that to a certain extent that it is not the case. Well, we're going to take a short break.